Good morning, everyone, or good evening, or afternoon, or whatever it may be. I'm TJ, if you don't know, and thanks for coming to have a look. Please grab a coffee, sit down. We're going to go through a couple of cold cases today. These are New Zealand ones, but I do cases from around the world as well. So I've got an extensive video library. Please go ahead and watch those, help out and give them a like and stuff, and that helps out the channel immensely. I really need the support because I'm trying to give this a real good shot. And there's so many cold cases around the world that need attention, and I'm going to do that. So I'm hoping some people will come in soon to say hello, but I want to show you what we're going to be looking at. So this is one of the strangest disappearances in New Zealand, and it is really strange, believe me. So we're going to give this a shot and have a listen and see what we think in the comments below. So let's take a look. I've got to find it now. Welcome back to New Zealand Mysteries. This is TJ. Today we're looking into one of the strangest disappearances in New Zealand that I can think of, and it's all about sorry, I'll just say hello to people because I don't like speaking over it when I've got the video going. Julie, good morning, honey. It's always good to see you all the way from Australia. Julie is. Grandma Sherry, my lovely. She says, hi, I'm modding a channel, but I'll be back in a bit. Oh, that's so sweet. Red Rock, hi, welcome. Come on in. So some lively, friendly chat while we look at some of New Zealand's coldest cases and strangest cases. So, yeah, I will pause this through and we can chat about it. A guy called Jim Donnelly. Now, just a couple of things before we get started. I seriously don't mean to offend anybody at all by making this. I'm just going ahead and using information that I'm finding on the internet and putting it all together in one video. nzmissing@gmail.com is where you can find me. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we are on podcasts. Now, let's have a look at this case. So, while looking for information and researching this story, I found that Radio New Zealand, RNZ, did a podcast series called Lost or The Lost, and they did an episode on Jim Donnelly. So I'm actually going to read from the transcript or read from rnz.co.nz, and let's go. On Monday, the 21st of June 2004, Jim Donnelly signed into work as usual. 13 years later, he still hasn't signed out. The 43-year-old father of two worked at the Glenbrook Steel Mill south of Auckland for nearly 20 years. Now let's take a quick look at this steel mill. Now I must say, if I have bloopers in this one, I'm going to try not to, but my computer is in a very bad state, and even editing basic is really hard. So I'm going to try really hard not to have my mouth mush too much. So having a look, it says New Zealand Steel Limited is the owner of the Glenbrook Steel Mill. The steel mill located 40 kilometres south of Auckland in Glenbrook, New Zealand. And if you are from out of New Zealand, where this red dot is here in the North Island, close to the top, that's where Auckland is. The mill was constructed in 1968 and began producing steel products in 1969. Currently, the mill produces 650,000 tonnes of steel a year, which is either domestically used or exported. Over 90% of New Zealand's steel requirements are produced at Glenbrook. And let's get back to it. Jim's wife, Tracy, is still trying to find out what happened to him. She believes the answer lies in the mill where he was last seen alive. There has been no sighting of him apart from inside the mill. There has been no sighting of him leaving. There has been no sighting of him since he was seen on the gantry, she says. It makes me incredibly sad and upset that this wonderful person who was my husband and father of my children disappeared without a trace. The couple's children, Liam and Siobhan, were aged 7 and 5 when Jim disappeared. They are now growing up. I'm going to have all the links below in the description boxes so you can go to these podcasts yourself and have a listen and investigate further. On the day Jim went missing, Tracy called him at work about 8 a.m. and became increasingly worried when she didn't hear back. Jim had missed a 9 a.m. meeting and was nowhere to be found, yet his car was still parked at the mill car park. He was reported missing about 6 p.m. Tracy believed he may have had an accident, but the theory shifted. Search and rescue teams thought he may have had a mental breakdown and was actively evading them. Jim had been behaving strangely in the days before his disappearance. Tracy and Jim had planned to spend the night at an Auckland hotel on the Saturday, but out of nowhere, he said he had a meeting to go to. A Saturday night meeting made no sense to Tracy, but no matter how hard she tried to find out more, Jim wouldn't tell her where he was going. He hired a suit and headed off. It's still not clear why he needed the suit. So already things are starting to sound a little strange, but it gets stranger. Things between the pair didn't get any better the next day when again Jim said he had to divert a crisis and a waste. Tracy was confused. Crisis and a waste. That's a very odd thing to say. Some of his co-workers described Jim's behaviour as strange on the Monday too. 5 days after Jim was last seen at work, workers at the mill found his hard hat next to an acid tank in a restricted area of the mill. The area had already been searched. The tank was drained and some of Jim's things were found inside. The acid wasn't strong enough to do significant damage. His house keys have never been found. So, in the acid, his wallet was. Okay, so as I always do, quite often, and I waffle on and I'm muted. I do it all the time. I don't know why. Anyway, so we've got the hard hat found beside the acid vat. They drained, I should say, the acid vat and found some personal belongings. The car was left at work. He was acting strange a few days before, his wife said. They were also supposed to go out to a nice, what did she call it? A hotel for a night or something like that. So, yeah, which he didn't do. So, yeah, was in there. And there's some other things we'll find out as well as we keep going. Who put Jim's things there? That question remains unanswered. The hard hat was not tested for fingerprints, which just bugs me. What a simple thing to, if you're having a strange disappearance, and the fact that things were found inside the acid vat, which is just beyond strange, fingerprinting the hard hat seems like a pretty, well, one of the first things you'd do, straight up, things police should do, but it just doesn't make sense to me. The search for Jim was eventually scaled back. Police investigating his disappearance looked into 4 scenarios: an accident, a suicide, a staged disappearance, and foul play. David Glossop, the area commander of County's Manukau West area, investigated Jim's case in 2008. He says, every other investigation into missing persons or into homicide, you can anchor yourself around some facts, he says. In Jim's case, there are more questions than answers, and there continues to be more questions than answers. Everything is possible in this life. Those 4 scenarios, each and every one of those is still an option. Tracy doesn't think police did enough at the time. Mill workers were only interviewed on a voluntary basis. Police officers were escorted throughout the search. She also feels that the mill has been less than cooperative, including refusing access to a private investigator Tracy wanted to hire. She feels they failed to protect a staff member and have yet to be held. I would be shitty at the mill as well. Of course, I think because it's a dangerous place that the police needed to be escorted around, but they didn't take fingerprints off the hard hat. They just shit. Some police are shit sometimes, and you get it all over true crime where you see and hear from the families that the police haven't done their job, or the police have ignored them, or haven't told them what they know, and shit like that. And it's bloody annoying. I mean, there are good cops out there for sure. Absolutely, I back the blue, but sometimes they just miss the ball. Accountable. And I can definitely understand, put myself in her shoes. I mean, this is the last place your husband went, and the events are all strange surrounding his disappearance, and you want answers. And you're thinking, well, why won't they let us find these answers? I can definitely feel her frustration. It's, very sad. Mill owner New Zealand Steel refused to be interviewed for the podcast, but in a statement took issue with Tracy's frustrations, saying it cooperated fully with the police investigation, including full searches of our site and support for those affected. New Zealand Steel has not received any further queries from authorities since the original investigation, but would of course be willing to help if that changed. Tracy says, to me, it's completely illogical. I've always been brought up to think that there's a logical explanation for everything and it all comes out in good time. I'd like some answers. I'd like to know why I have to live through this and my children have had to live without their dad. Do you have any information on Jim's whereabouts? And obviously the Crime Stoppers number 0800 555 111, which is completely anonymous. Counties Manukau Police 09 261 1300, but I am going to have this in the description boxes below. So information of where you could call if you know this is going to be actually on the video itself in my video library. So if you go there, details of that specific video and the links I use and all that will be on that. Red Rock says, I'm wondering if the mill directed the investigation. I don't know. Something went wrong. Something, doesn't make sense. Now, it's hard enough for anyone that has a family member just missing, but missing under these strange circumstances, I just couldn't imagine. Right, let's move on to the next part. So we're following on with another article by rnz.co.nz, and it's still from his wife, Tracy Donnelly, which you can get and listen to on the podcast. Tracy Donnelly kissed her husband and waved him off to work 13 years ago, and for her and her children, life as they knew it stopped that day. She wants to know why. Where am I? Who am I now? My life was normal. We were a family of 2 adults and 2 children. Then one day, everything changed. On June 21st, 2004, my husband, Jim Donnelly, did not come home from work at the Glenbrook Steel Mill, where he worked for nearly 20 years. Life as I knew it stopped existing that day. It was like I was on a speeding train, which took me from a place where I knew who I was to a place I didn't want to go. The husband who loved and cared for us disappeared into ether. As I write this, my mind takes me back to a boardroom at the mill 13 years ago, while search and rescue were combing the fields next door to the site. I spoke with psychologists and search and rescue coordinators about Jim's behaviour before that Monday morning. We all agreed he behaved bizarrely over the weekend, but they were sure he wasn't a suicide risk. I was told maybe he had a breakdown. Either way, they were sure he would be found. The weather wasn't great, and I couldn't help but worry about him being out there. Was he warm enough? Did he have shelter? I spent days at the mill waiting. At home, I tried to keep it all together, especially in front of the children. Keeping it together in front of the children is so hard for a parent when all you want to do probably is just scream and cry. If you've got children, you have to kind of hold it together, and that's really, really difficult. And she's mentioning now, where did he go? Is he out there somewhere? Did he just leave and take off? We're going to have to see. Hi, little dove. Good to see you, darling. One of the things I was saying earlier, actually, Autumn Falls popped in. She is my one and only member. I love her to bits. If you're thinking about joining member, it would be really help the show. We don't do anything for members yet because I only got one. But I need help. I'm getting this shit started, this channel going. Let's take a look. Listen. This was still week 1, and I hadn't told the children yet, just in case we found him. I was sure we would because we were a normal family. This sort of thing doesn't happen to us, but it did. I think I would have made the same decision in that not telling the kids. I think I would have thought, he's coming home. He might be sick or he might be a bit hurt or something, but he's coming home. So a week in, some of his stuff was found inside an acid vat at the mill. His hard hat was placed outside the vat. Did Jim put it there? That idea is illogical to me. Maybe Jim didn't put it there. Maybe someone else did. Who, why, and how? The mill is supposed to be a secure site. That's what they keep telling us. How did this happen in the middle of search and rescue with mill staff all knowing there was a missing person on site? Why did no one see anything? I can only presume someone knows. I could go on from here describing the minutes, hours, days, months as I moved from then to now. While the immense pain has subsided somewhat, I'm no closer to the truth about why and how this loss occurred. Only that I still find Jim in the children's smiles and the way they raise an eyebrow. He is always around. I'm still looking for the answer. I still hope to find out what happened. The facts. Jim's car was in the car park at the steel mill. Jim changed from his civvies into the work uniform. Jim signed into the area where he worked that morning and never signed out. Hey, Phoebe. Hey, it's good to see you. Kia ora. I love it how you try and say that. No, it's awesome. Good to see you. You might have to do a bit of a rewind because this is a really strange case. But it's awesome to have you here. And you too, little dove. Jim was last seen inside the steel mill near his office. My opinion has never changed. To me, the answer lies in the mill. The last place Jim was seen. I approached the mill management with a request to allow access for a private investigator. This request was declined. I found this very frustrating. Didn't they want this mystery solved? Jim was one of their workers. How will I get answers if the mill isn't cooperating? The steel mill management was more than happy for people to think Jim left their site voluntarily, but there is no evidence to show or prove this. What are they worried about? Why in this day and age of workplace safety haven't they been made to be more accountable? Are safety regulations just a farce? They're to only say we implemented notices and advise of hazards. So in New Zealand, we have like WorkSafe and a couple of other places. There'd be a union there as well, I imagine. So, I don't get it. Why the mill is so they just don't want to respond and stuff. It makes them look guilty, that's for sure. Red Rock, $1.99. You're off to a good start. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Aren't the mill bosses responsible for the loss of a worker who signed into work and never signed out? It's fallen on me to prove he went missing while still in the mill. Surely it should be on the mill to prove otherwise. I feel powerless against a corporation that doesn't care. Some very, very big words from this lady. It's obvious how she feels about the mill. And it says RNZ sought a response from the mill. A spokesman said, New Zealand Steel fully cooperated and assisted with the police investigation into Jim Donnelly's disappearance, including full searches of our site, and provided support where it could to the people affected. I'm going to be really interested to see what you guys think, what theories you have in the comments below. Just be kind, because there is a chance that his older children now and his wife may read them, because I have not been able to reach out to her. So just be kind. So I'm on newshub.co.nz, and what I'm about to play is a video from a program here in New Zealand called The Project on Channel 3. But just quickly, there are about 400 people listed as missing in New Zealand. For the past 5 months, the project has been investigating one of the most mysterious cases, that of Auckland man Jim Donnelly. Mr. Donnelly left for work 13 years ago and was never seen again. Bear in mind, this was made in 2017. So it would be 16, it's nearly 17 years ago now. He arrived at work and later in the morning was seen by his colleagues pacing around, which is the last known sighting. An hour later, Mr. Donnelly's wife rang his mobile phone but couldn't get through. His colleagues then started looking for the father and found his car was still at work in the parking lot. Later that day, he was reported missing to the police, I should say. 5 days after he was reported missing, his hard hat was found next to an acid tank. His belongings were found inside, but police concluded the acid was not strong enough to dissolve a body. More than a decade later, the family has been left with 4 possibilities: accidental death, suicide, a staged disappearance, or murder. The project returns to the day he vanished in the first part of a special series entitled Missing Jim. So I'm going to play this video for you now. Hopefully I don't get... Please give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you like or dislike the video. Check that subscribe button, pretty please, and hit the notification bell to all if you want to be notified whenever we release a case. You can support the channel, buymeacoffee.com/nzmysteries. Buy me a $3 coffee. It will help go towards the computer fund, I guess, when this one finally gives out very soon. All right, thank you very much. I'm going to play this video for you all on the way out. Thank you. Apologize for my computer. I'm so sorry. But we'll leave it at that, because this computer's just not going to play it. I'm about to cry. I'll leave the link into the... yeah, so this is a real strange one. So what were they saying? It could be suicide, although they said that the acid vat wouldn't have been able to kill or acid eat a person. Did he disappear and make a staged disappearance? Because he was acting funny that day for sure, and a few days earlier. Or did something happen at that mill? Some strange shit going on. You know, the car still there, the hard hat sitting outside the vat, the stuff from his wallet in the bottom of the vat, and that had already been searched. So somebody's staging something. I don't know what, but it's a strange case. So yeah, I just don't know. That's a weird one. It's good to have you all here. And I've actually got to, after this today, I've got to go and visit my daughter in hospital. I hope she's watching. Hi, baby. She's having minor surgery, but she'll be fine. But I'm going to go and see her this afternoon, so that's going to be good. All right, I do have another video lined up, guys. Another bizarre disappearance. Red Rock, I'm thinking of an accident at the mill cover-up. That's what I reckon too. It all seems a bit odd, doesn't it? It just doesn't sit right. So the poor lady, I don't think she's ever going to know what happened to him. I don't think we'll ever know what happened to him, unfortunately. I would love for this one to be solved and find out what happened, because this is strange shit. All right, my friends, I'm going to play this next one. I better put it on screen for you, otherwise you won't be able to see it. This is quite a popular one in New Zealand. It is the bizarre disappearance of Luana Williams. Yeah, praying for all the families involved. You know, this is why I do it. I think about the poor families that have no answers and how hard it must be for them. And I think, well, like, what can I do? And this is the only thing I can think of doing for them. Will it work? Probably not. I also do send all my videos out on Facebook as well. So I've got a Facebook channel. Facebook page called New Zealand Mysteries as well. All right, I'm going to shut up. Let's listen to this one.
Hello, everybody.
You might have to turn up the volume, sorry.
And you are here at New Zealand Mysteries. Thank you to all my subscribers who keep coming back. I adore and appreciate each and every one of you. If you're new here, thanks for coming and giving me a chance. I don't do makeup and I don't do sort of storytelling. I go for facts from the media reports at the time and after. So if that's your kind of thing, please stick around and let's move on. We are talking today about the bizarre disappearance of Luana Williams, and quite a long time ago, but a really big mystery. So let's take a look. So first we're going to take a look at where this happens. It happened in Tauranga. Tauranga is a coastal metropolitan city in the Bay of Plenty region and the fifth most populous city of New Zealand, with an urban population of 151,000. That was in 2020, or roughly 3% of the national population. It was settled by Maori late in the 13th century, by Europeans in the early 19th century, and was constituted as a city in 1963. Tauranga is one of New Zealand's main centres for business, international trade, culture, fashion, and horticultural science. Tauranga is one of New Zealand's fastest growing cities. So let's have a look on a map where this would be. Here we are with the North Island of New Zealand, and if we have a look at this big red dot here, this is where Tauranga is situated. And if we scroll in just a little bit, Gate Pa is the suburb of where this happened. Let's get into the story and find out what happened. One of the first places we're coming to is in newzealandmissing.wordpress.com, and this is actually our official website for New Zealand Mysteries. And I'll have all the links in the description box below, of course, where you can go to these places yourself if you want to. So Luana Williams, born 27th of July 1960, and she went missing on the 5th of June 1986. Luana was last seen at her home in Gate Pa, Tauranga on the 5th of June 1986 at about 6 p.m. by her partner. Her partner and his mate returned home from the pub at 4 a.m. to find she had gone. The house was open and the pets were inside, which was unusual, and Luana was reported missing by her then partner. There was no sign of a struggle, but there was definitely an indication that she was taken from there. The door was unlocked, the lights were on, the fire guard was away from the fire, and Luana's half-finished drink and cigarettes were on the table. She was declared legally dead in 1998, but the case remains unsolved and a body has never been found. In 2006, human bones were found at McLaren Falls, a week after a psychic investigation of the 20-year-old unsolved murder of Luana Williams was aired on television. Police took 2 archaeologists to examine skeletal remains discovered at the reserve. In a TV2 show called Sensing Murder, 3 psychics independently, identified a spot at the falls as the burial site of Luana. So this is where McLaren Falls is in relation to Tauranga and Gate Park. A man phoned police the day after the show screened saying he knew of a skull at the falls, but his discovery was kilometres away from the spot the psychics were drawn to at the top lake end of McLaren Falls. Inquiry Head Detective Sergeant Eddie Little and the 2 archaeologists were staggered by what they found. 3 skeletons were found, but none of them were Luana's remains. In 2013, the case was reopened and police offered $50,000 for information that would lead to her being found or a conviction for the death or disappearance.
Oh my God, I'm going to have a meltdown when I forget to unmute myself. This is a couple of crazy stories we're listening to today. So Grandma, you'll have to go and catch the replays. Nikki, Grandma, it's good to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Detective Inspector Mark Loper told reporters the situation may have changed. Now, this reward is no longer active for this case. So, Detective Inspector Loper said, "We know over time allegiances and associations change," he said. "There may be people in the fringe group that may have information and may at this time be willing to part with this," he said. Police processes and technology had advanced, he said. They had a number of persons of interest and were keeping an open mind over suspects. While the review of the case that sparked the reward started 18 months ago, new information had come to light. He would not comment on what the information was. He said, "I am not prepared to be specific about the new information, as I will not do anything that will be detrimental to the ongoing investigation," he said. A number of inquiries fell out of the review. As we carried out those inquiries, we received information from members of the public, which we are now actively pursuing. It had taken the investigation in a different direction, but he says, "Beyond that, I cannot comment," he said. So this is good news. Back in 2013, I guess, that they had new leads and people had come forward with some information, but it's still an unsolved case. So, obviously they haven't got enough evidence, or they need some more information, which is why we're doing the video, to see if there's anyone out there that has new information, or not just new information, but information in general, and that they may come forward. Complaints had been laid previously about the way police handled the case, but Loper said, "I can't comment on what's gone wrong before we got involved. Our focus is to take the inquiry forward," and we're going to have a look into those complaints about police in a bit. To this day, no one has been charged in this case, and Luana's remains have never been found. Information down here on who to contact if you have any information. Of course, Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111, but everything will be in the description box below, or if you are on podcast, it will be in the show notes. But we have a lot here on newzealandmissing.wordpress.com. I have not been able to update it as much as I can.
So, like it says, I do have a website, and what I've been trying to do is get all my cases that I do video on to put them on the website. The website, I think, is pretty effing amazing. But because I haven't been full-time YouTube, I've had to work. I've been neglecting that, I guess. Now that I am expecting to be full-time on YouTube, hopefully, and make it like something that will give me a little bit of hobby money just to get by. I'm going to get into that again. Checking, yes, my mic is on. Oh, let's go.
Can lately because of time constraints, but there's lots of useful information and a lot of missing persons profiles. I've spent a lot of time on this, so I'll put it in the description box below if this is something you want to look at. But let's move on. So stuff.co.nz, this was 2013, and I haven't got any information past 2013, 2014. It seems like no one's mentioned the case since or done a report on the case since. Luana Williams cold case reward. So remember, this was back then. Police
She's
are
so
hoping
pretty.
a $50,000 reward will solve a 27-year-old Tauranga cold case, saying things had changed since one of $20,000 that they put out failed in 1994. Luana Deborah Laverne Williams was last seen on June 5, 1986 at her home in Munro Street, Tauranga. She was reported missing by her partner. Beautiful woman. Responding to a question about how the new reward would succeed when the older $20,000 one had not, Detective Inspector Mark Loper told reporters the situation may have changed. We know over time allegiances and associations change, he said. There may be people in the fringe group who, again,
I reckon that, like, doing, some people go, oh, why do cold cases that are like years, but for example, in this one, there are a lot of people around the disappearance who didn't say anything. They just shut their mouth, wouldn't say anything to the cops, wouldn't tell anyone what they knew. All this time's gone past. There is those that probably have grown up. People have matured. They're not in the same sort of gang or hanging out with the same people they used to, and that sort of thing. And you kind of hope that happens, and then someone will come forward and say something now. That's my hope.
may have information and may at this time be willing to part with it, he said. Police processes and technology had advanced, he said. They had a number of persons of interest and were keeping an open mind over suspects.
What's OSHA?
He was hoping the reward would provide the little nugget of gold we require. Ideally, that would be the location of the body so we can get her home to her family where she belongs. And, sometimes I wonder if justice is all that important compared to getting someone's body home so that they can grieve and they have some answers. I don't know because I've never been in that situation, thankfully, but yeah. While the review of the case that sparked the reward started 18 months ago, new information had come to light. He would not comment on what that was. A number of inquiries fell out of the review, and as we carried out those inquiries, we received information from members of the public, which we are now actively pursuing. It had taken the investigation in a different direction, but beyond that, I cannot comment, he said. The missing woman could be described as colourful, he said. The case had its difficulties with police unable to locate some witnesses. We've had to invent ways to fill those gaps, Loper said. The missing woman's family had been right on side with us, he said. Police had not spoken to the missing woman's boyfriend. I don't know why not. I think if you're doing it, bringing up the case and reopening it, and it was the partner, I'm sure you would talk to him. That's a bit weird, but who knows? Melanie and Jacqueline Williams, the sisters of the missing woman, praised the police action. Gosh, I've got real mouth mush today. Sorry about that. We think it is really great that we have a police team that is showing us that they are dedicated to solving Luana's disappearance, they said, adding the case had been stressful for the family. Events over the last 27 years have had a crazy and stressful effect on the family and have greatly attributed to ill health, the sister said. What is really sad is that our father passed without any resolution. The hardest thing has been seeing a hand reaching out to clench the heart, soul, and guts from our parents. A lot has been said over the years, and a lot has been reported in the media, not of all of it accurate. Anything said in the past is in the past, and we want to move forward. Knowing it was never a closed case helped, and the family had lived in hope of answers. It's very hard for me because I have only a handful of media outlets to get information from here in New Zealand. There's only like two or three. And I have to believe that it's accurate, the information. If I can't get hold of family members, then that's all I've got to go on. And it's hard when the family say that some of the information isn't accurate. So if there's any family members that do watch this and want to clarify anything, please let me know and I'll give you some details to get hold of me shortly.
I would love to be able to get hold of family members, but it's just about impossible to find people. But I do try. But what really warms my heart is a lot of family will comment to me on my Facebook page or underneath the videos and thank me for doing this. And that just pushes me further, like that. "Oh, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it, because the family, and I sort of feel like I know them once I talk to them, kind of thing. Poor things.
They say if anyone involved in Luana's disappearance or with information about what happened to her had a conscience, they would have come forward by now. Williams was reported missing from her Munro Street home by her then partner Steve Prohl. Prohl and Tauranga resident Ross returned home from the pub at 4 a.m. to find she had gone. They believed she had been abducted. And when you saw the scene, you realised straight away there was no sign of a struggle, he said, but there was definitely an indication she was taken from there. The door was unlocked, the lights.
So when he arrived home and she was missing, the fire guard was away from the fire. She had an unfinished coffee, I think, or drink or whatever on the table. But the weirdest thing was she had a cigarette in the ashtray that was burning. So if this is all true, then he missed whatever happened to her. If it wasn't him, and we're not blaming him, it happened really right there, kind of thing, right at that time. He must have missed her about like seconds, minutes.
Were on, the fire guard was away from the fire, and Luana's half-finished drink and cigarettes were on the table. And being an ex-smoker, I can tell you that a smoker would not go anywhere willingly without taking their cigarettes with them, even for if that was only going to be for 5 or 10 minutes. I definitely know that. And of course, more information down here where you can contact and police, and we're going to have that.
So they've done this review, but as it stands, I haven't heard any information about anyone coming forward, and the case is still cold.
Soon. Now, this one's from the Otago Daily Times, odt.co.nz, and it's just a little about this Detective Inspector Mark Loper. He has been described as a super sleuth and now Detective Inspector Mark Loper hopes to crack the 27-year-old mystery of the disappearance of Tauranga woman Luana Williams. Look, guys, I'm not going to edit out all my mouth mush. I could be here for absolutely hours. I'm only human, and some days my mouth mush is worse than other times. And I'm sorry, I hope you get a bit of a giggle out of it, to be honest. A review of the murder of Luana Deborah Laverne Williams began 18 months ago. Ms. Williams was aged 25 when she disappeared from her Gate Pa home on June 5, 1986. A member of the public has provided police with more information, but Mr. Loper said he could not comment on specifics, again, because it may jeopardise the investigation. So he just repeats a number of inquiries fell out of the review, and as we carried those inquiries out, We received info from members of the public, which we are now actively pursuing. It is information that hasn't previously been brought to our attention and has taken the investigation in a different direction. So this is so positive that some people are speaking, maybe they do have a conscience. And
so somebody's speaking, and someone has a conscience and has come forward, and what we need maybe is more people to come forward than and as I'm not quite sure what they mean by taking it in a different way or different area. So we'll see.
And allegiances may have changed, and they're starting to speak. Mr. Loper told the Bay of Plenty Times he believed every case could be solved with time, but he was modest about his, quote, Mr. Solve It reputation. He said, my role is to oversee homicide investigations, and that includes cold cases. He said, I review cold cases regularly, and when cases get reviewed, new information comes to light. Every file is different. It's not about me, it's about the victims and their families. Mr. Lopez said time meant fresh eyes could look over cases and follow new leads. Retired Detective Inspector Graham Bell, who we all know was the face of Police 10-7, which is like a New Zealand Crime Watch show, said Mr. Lopez's reputation as a super sleuth was well founded. He said he is certainly a great detective who has a reputation for solving cases. Mr. Bell had worked with Mr. Loper on several occasions and described him as a dedicated and dogged investigator. He says, I have every confidence in him and his ability to solve this case. So I wonder if the case is still active and if he is still looking at information and following up leads on this case now. I'll leave the description box below the link to here, because there's a little bit of information on cases in New Zealand that he actually has helped solve and investigate.
So the rest of that video, I just go over the same old things, really, because there's just nothing to go on, but it's a real odd one for sure. And Grandma, yeah, I hope those people that don't come forward get stress, acne, and ulcers. Absolutely. I don't know how people can keep secrets like that and just go on with their life with this hanging over them. Maybe they just compartmentalize it and just put it in a place and carry on with life. But I couldn't go on knowing, if I knew that I knew about anything, I would have to come forward. I couldn't do it. Absolutely not. So tell me, Grandma Sherry, what have you been up to do today? It's so hard for me to find a time to go live because I want to go live where New Zealanders and other people can come and see me. But that time, all these other big, cool YouTubers are on at the same time. So I feel like I'm kind of fighting to fit in somewhere. But I'll definitely find my groove, I think. But I'll get there, if you know what I'm saying. Picking up what I'm putting down. So did any of you see the video that I released today? Did anyone get to see it? Oh, you're modding. You do a lot of modding, Grandma Sherry. I see you lots of places, for sure. So did anyone see? You will. Thank you, darling. This was a pretty good time. Awesome. Yeah, it's hard to find the right time. Just this live. Oh, that's nice. So yeah, did anyone get to see the one I got to put out today? So I'm going to play it for you guys. You've just sat down, Nikki. Cool. Yeah, modding. I don't know why people like are always, oh, please, please let me be a mod. Let me be a mod. I'll be a mod for you. I don't understand why people like it so much, because if it's a busy chat, you're just too busy doing chat shit and you don't get to actually focus on what's going on, I think. But that's just me. I think Sherry has been called a mod pimp. Simon, yes, Simon Beavers. So I'm going to play that. It's one I just put together this morning. It's one that just happened last year, so it's pretty early in it. So yeah. Grandma Sherry, you get to listen properly when you're modding. You don't always get to listen. Yeah, absolutely. But she's one of the best mods in the biz, I must say. All right. Hey everyone, it's me, TJ. Welcome to New Zealand Mysteries. If I haven't met you before, nice to meet you. We don't only cover cases from New Zealand, we cover cases from around the world as well. The case today that we're following is in New Zealand, and it's one I didn't know about and is currently in the news right now. So this is hopefully one that we can solve if we get enough people moving it around and stuff like that. I know, and I'm quite aware that my webcam is shit and the quality is shit, but when I do or can get a new one, I definitely will. So thanks for being here, and let's get on with the show. So first, if we take a look at a map, which I'm going to put up. So if we take a look at this map of New Zealand, and in the South Island here, this red lump, this is where Hope is, just out of Nelson. Beautiful winery region, I'm told. So I never knew about it. I'm sorry, I've got to pause. Something's going on here in chat, which I'm not aware of. Okay, TJ, now I have to send you $1 every time you say that. What? You're the best mod in the biz? I don't know. Autumn Falls, it's so great to see you. Thanks for coming over. Yeah, just saying, it's so hard to find a perfect time to go live because there's lots of good people going live all at the same time. Autumn, this is a video I released just this morning. Hope, previously known as Ranzau, is a small settlement south of Nelson, New Zealand, between Richmond and Wakefield. Hope began as a German settlement founded by many of the families on the bark something, which left Hamburg on 21st of April 1844. Today, the settlement remains largely rural, dominated by farms and orchards. There are 2 primary schools, scattered specialty shops, many operating from an orchard or market garden, a restaurant and bar, a convenience store, and a park with tennis courts and a recreation hall. The Hope statistical area covers 7.44 k's, which is about 2.87 square miles. It had an estimated population of 990 as of June 2022. So, not the biggest town or biggest place for sure. Let's get into some articles. So the first article I'm looking at is stuff.co.nz. This was released March 11, 2022, so just last year. Police released name of man who died in suspected homicide near Nelson. I don't know how these stories go by my way and I don't catch them. So if you guys catch stories that I don't, please let me know. The 56-year-old seasonal worker whose death is being investigated as a homicide has been named. The body of Simon Allen Beavers, who was found at Edens Road Fruit Orchard in Hope, near Nelson, at 7:30 a.m. on Wednesday. Detective Senior Sergeant Anthony McCoy said Beavers was a seasonal worker who was a New Zealander. He was not from the Nelson region. McCoy said police could not reveal how or when he had died. They were tracking the man's movements from Monday as he had attended work then. McCoy said the forensic examination of the orchard was expected to be finished during the weekend. The examination involved police investigators, ESR staff, and other specialists, McCoy said. The orchard owners did not wish to comment at this stage. Inquiries were underway to establish exactly what occurred and to identify those responsible. And police want to speak with anyone who might have information about the incident or those involved. Anyone with information which could assist police in their investigation should call 105 and refer to case number 220309/6803, or could share information anonymously through Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Now, I'm going to have all this information in the description box below. Also, ways you can connect up to our Facebook page, our website, ways to donate, all that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'll have it all there for you. This little tidbit down here from the homicide report that Stuff done is quite interesting. At least 5 people have died in suspicious or homicidal circumstances in New Zealand so far in 2023. At the same time last year, there had been 17 suspected homicides. So let's hope that this year goes better for that, for sure. So back to Stuff again, stuff.co.nz. Homicide victim employed for only 2 weeks before his death, March 14th, 2022. The 56-year-old man at the centre of a homicide investigation was only employed for 2 weeks at the orchard where he worked before his death. The body of Simon Allen Beavers was found at Edens Road Fruit Orchard in Hope near Nelson. Detective McCoy said Beavers had been employed by Edens Road Fruit for 2 weeks before his death. That's sad. On Friday, McCoy said Beavers was a seasonal worker who was a Kiwi. He was not from the region. Still not revealing how or when he died. They were tracking Beavers' movements from Monday as he had been at work then. So just going over the same thing. Inquiries were underway to establish exactly what occurred and to identify those responsible. And police wanted to speak with anyone who might have information. So that's what we need, guys. We need.
Gotta pause that. Grandma Sherry, new member. Autumn, Fools, You're Not Alone. Now there's 2 members on my channel. Freaking awesome. Love it. Thank you so much.
We need to share this as much as we can because we need to get it under the noses of the right people that may have some information. So that's why sharing is so important. This can be solved. Let's go to the latest. Newshub.co.nz. This was 11th of March 2023. Police announce a $100,000 reward in year-long unsolved murder of fruit picker Simon Allen Beavers. Now, New Zealand police don't give out these types of rewards often. I think this is probably the 3rd one in history that I can remember, along Ronald Ellison and the little one with the cherry cheeks. I'm going to get it. It will come back to me. So, police have announced a $100,000 reward in the year-long unsolved murder case of a Nelson fruit picker. Police announced the reward on Wednesday morning for information that may lead to an arrest for the murder of Simon Allen Beavers. Beavers was found dead in his tent. So that's the first time we've heard about the tent at an apple orchard on Edens Road, Hope, on March 9th. Police believe he was killed in his tent between 8 p.m. on Monday, March the 7th, and the morning of March 9th when he was found dead. At this time, the detective said tomorrow marks 1 year since Simon was found dead. Our investigation team has worked tirelessly to provide answers for Simon's family and to hold the person or persons responsible. The reward of up to $100,000 is for material information or evidence which leads to the identity and conviction of anyone responsible for his death. Police say the offer will stand until May 31st. The Commissioner of Police will determine the amount of the reward and will, if necessary, apportion payment where there is more than one claimant. Police added immunity from prosecution may be considered for any accomplice
if they aren't the main offender? Who provides information or evidence to others? He said, I urge anyone with information which could assist the investigation team to get in touch and help us provide the answers that Simon's family so desperately need. And I absolutely agree. This must be absolutely heartbreaking for them. We don't want another murder to go unsolved. It's not fair. He was just in his tent. Yeah, awful, absolutely awful. So we really want to get this shared around. So the last thing is police.govt.nz. I think they probably say the same thing with Vern, but there's a good picture of Simon there. So they're just announcing the reward. He was found in his tent, and it was believed he was killed inside his tent between 8 p.m. on Monday, 7th of March, and the morning of 9th March 2022. So it's been over a year now. It says the investigation team has worked tirelessly to provide answers for Simon's family and to hold those persons responsible for or up to account. Police will pay a reward of up to $100,000 for material, information, or evidence. So, again, the numbers down there.
Description box, lady. Description box. That's good. Okay. Yay. Yeah, so that one's an interesting one. Killed in his tent, we get that information, but they're not saying how he was killed. But yeah, it's really odd. It's really, really odd. Any case where people go missing are really, really odd to me. There's always things that I'm like, what the hell? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. So you can imagine what the families are going through. So as I'm making, what does Nikki say? Someone surely must know something in such a small place unless we're out of town. Exactly. It was a small place. They all knew each other. They would have been orchard workers, would have been all together, because that's such a big thing in Kiwi land, going to orchard. No, he was at a orchard, so he would have been a seasonal worker and just coming in when he needed stuff to be picked, like apples or fruit, whatever. So seasonal workers, hundreds of them come in all over New Zealand to do that when it's time. So that's what he would have been doing. Unfortunately, with Cyclone Gabrielle that just hit the North Island, it hit a lot of our fruit trees and orchards, and we're going to have a hell of a price rise on fresh fruit and veggies because it's going to take years for them to get back to the way they were. I do have a video of Cyclone Gabrielle as well that you can check out. It's just extremely sad. Hey, I go through that all the time. All the time. I can never remember my passwords for anything. Okay, you can replay this part. So, yeah, as I'm wanting to 100% get into the YouTube and Facebook and my website, and get it done. Please, if you have ideas of cases you want me to cover or take a look at, can be from anywhere around the world. I can definitely do it. I can either just do it on a live stream or we can look together and Google things, just whatever really works. But we've got so many cases that need to be seen, absolutely need to be seen. Autumn Fall says, okay, he might have been more vulnerable than if he was temporarily living in a place and in a tent where there are many other workers around. It didn't say how many other workers were around at all, but when they do seasonal work, there's usually at least 100, if not, I don't know, I can't say, but there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be picked when it's ready for sure. So yeah, if you want to get hold of me, you can go through my Facebook page, which is New Zealand Mysteries, and send me messages. That's the word, messages on there. Just remember that our time zones are all different, so I might like see it when you're sleeping or something and I'm awake or something like that. But yeah, in the meantime, I think that I'm going to keep playing videos that I've already done on the live streams every day or every other day if I can. Now that I might have a couple of members, I'm going to have to start thinking about member-only things. If you have any ideas about that, members, let me know, because I don't know what I can offer you as a member. But I want to offer something, because I don't want you just giving me money for nothing, because that just doesn't sit right with me. So, yeah. But I am going to go, because I'm going to go and get ready to go and see my daughter in hospital. I want to see how she is, and of course, as a mama, I'm concerned and worried about her. So I'll let you know. Oh my God, Red Rock, check this out. Check it out. Hang on. Oh, there it is. Woohoo! Number 3, third member. I'm so excited. That's awesome. Thank you, Red Rock. You guys are freaking amazing. Thank you for showing up today. Yes, you will be. It's nothing like, too bad. It's just minor surgery. Woot, woot. Oh, Pam, my darling, late as usual, and I'm just about to sign off. I've got to go see my daughter. She's in hospital, Pam. So I was just about to sign off. But I have done a couple of cases which are really, really weird. So, yeah. Go back and look. Do a replay. You're welcome, Julie, Red Rock, Grandma, Pam, Nikki. Thank you very much, Phoebe. You rock. Autumn, you rock. Anyone else that I missed? You all rock. Okay, guys, see you later. Love yous.